All right, let's start with some ground rules. I say this in the nicest way possible, but screw you guys. You don't need to know everything. You're never going to know her name. I'm going to be very private with personal details. This story is very near and dear to my heart. It's the story of my first kiss. It's my first bit of relationship experience. It's the story of fixing my relationship with my mom. And quite frankly, it's the most insane thing I've ever experienced. I did not know you could hurt so bad. I didn't know you could miss somebody so bad. I didn't know you could fall for somebody so hard. I just fell so hard for this girl. And I hit the ground and I shattered into 1,000 pieces. I felt broken for so many days. There's a reason they call it heartbreak, because that freaking hurt, bro. It really felt like it wouldn't end. I knew logically that it would end, but I just couldn't see any light in the tunnel that I was in for a long time. I don't swear almost ever. The night it happened, bro, I dropped 3 F-bombs in a row. I've never dropped 2 F-bombs in a row. I did not know it would hurt so bad and last so long. So, I've really only ever had 3 crushes in my life. The first was in high school with a girl that I actually went on a lot of dates with. And one day she calls me up and is like, I really like you. And I did absolutely nothing. I wasn't really interested in a relationship, even though she was the girl that I liked. I just never really did anything. I was very school focused. And honestly, all growing up, I struggled to talk about my crushes and who I liked. I've always liked girls. I'm just a very basic straight white guy. That's just me. But I had a very hard time talking about it, even with friends at overnight sleepovers, when people would ask like, oh my gosh, like who's your crush? Who do you like? I would always say something like, oh, I like girls, but not one girl in particular. There was almost always a girl in particular, but I was always very uncomfortable with it and never really had any relationship experience. My second crush was honestly just like more in my head than anything. And my third crush, which is this girl, and was the best by far, and I learned a lot. The vast majority of this commentary is going to be post-breakup, but I do have to say a couple of things. So last year was the first time in my life I ever really felt ready for a relationship. I felt very established as an adult. I had a house, I had a job, I was feeling good just mentally in general. And so a couple months after saying to myself, you know what? I think I'm ready for a relationship. I think I could try that out. I started talking to a girl, and I'm going to call her Hat Girl because she was wearing a hat the first time I met her. Oh boy, I'm probably going to dance around a little bit on like actually like her and what we like did together, because it's probably not good for me to reminisce on whatever there was. But one thing that I did want to share, and that I think is kind of funny, is we would ask each other questions quite a bit, and like, I don't know, just talk about life, just sort of getting to know somebody. I'm sure a lot of people do this. One night we were asking each other questions, and we asked each other what was the most romantic thing anybody had ever done for us. And you want to know what her answer was, bro? She said, when you asked me if I should kill a spider or take it outside, bro, I actually just lost it. One night while we were just like hanging out, there was a spider in the hallway, and instead of just like killing it immediately, I looked at her in the eyes and I said, do you want me to kill it or take it outside? And that's what she said is the most romantic thing that's I don't get it. But maybe that gives some context on what she was kind of like. And plot twist, this story, this commentary, this is actually the story of my first 2 breakups, not one. We broke up and then got together and then broke up again, and this, yeah, I bet you were not expecting that plot twist. I mean, I wasn't expecting the plot twist. I kind of lived through it. So this is really where the story starts. It was actually on my birthday, which I think is kind of memorable and funny. Honestly, like, sometimes I say that and people are like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, it's literally just easier for me to remember. I'm kind of the one that, like, initiated the conversation. It's totally cool. Honestly, I think it's just really funny. I have some memorable birthdays. 21st or 22nd birthday, I paid off my house. 23rd birthday, I experienced heartbreak for the first time. It's just, dude, what's gonna happen at age 24, bro? So as you might expect, it hurt quite a bit. Genuinely, I was not expecting it though, okay? I remember when it happened, I kind of thought to myself, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. We broke up because of a logistical reason. It was very adult, very mature, very like chill, fine. And so I thought to myself, okay, well, I guess it doesn't work out. I can like move on with my life now. I'll probably be over it within a day or two. bro, absolutely not. That is not how heartbreak works. If there was a way to logic yourself out of heartbreak, I would have found it, bro. It does not exist. It's so weird because physiologically, it's like you just can't control it. Your brain takes a hold and says, you're just gonna be sad now. You don't have any say in the matter. You're gonna keep feeling sad. Oh, you're gonna think about it some more. Oh, it's gonna hurt. It's one of the most wild experiences ever. I'll probably talk more about like the actual breaking up experience on the second breakup, because the first one, I mean, we like got back together and it was only like a month in between or something. But long story short, the logistical thing kind of went away. And for a while, I wasn't sure if I wanted to reach back out again because it was so like new and sudden. But one of the big reasons I did want to keep talking to Hat Girl was because she kind of fixed my relationship with my mom. One night we were asking each other questions yet again, and she asked me if there was anybody in my life that I felt I suppressed myself around. And I said, yeah, my mom. I'd never told anybody that before. I barely told myself that, and I couldn't believe I told her that. I just felt so safe around her, and it was a really crazy experience because just by sort of shining a light on that feeling, it kind of made it go away. My mom's a great person. She is a great mom, but I'd sort of developed this like aversion to being around her. She's a very loud and big personality, and I felt like I couldn't be myself around her. Like if she got excited, I felt like I kind of had to suppress myself and I couldn't like be myself. And it got to the point where I didn't want to be around my mom. I felt like I didn't need my mom in my life, and it's kind of sad to think about. But after I told Hat Girl this, it kind of just went away. I'd never said it out loud before, and the very next time that I met up with my mom, it was just like night and day difference. This could be a whole commentary video in itself. It's sort of a feeling that developed over a couple of years after moving out. Like when I moved out of my mom's place, I was so ready to move out. That's probably where it started. But it culminates when I go to my mom's house for dinner. I'm sitting around the dinner table with my moms, my brothers, and she asks me where I'm going, because the day before I'd asked her if she could take me to the airport. And in a very low voice, because I hadn't told anybody that I had started talking to Hat Girl again, or that I was flying to see her, I said, I'm going to see a girl. And my mom got so excited for me. In the past, I might have like recoiled from that or like not really felt comfortable with it, but it just felt really good. So we start talking about it, and I basically tell the story that I've kind of told you here. And I look at her and I say, I don't know if you've noticed, but over the past couple of years, I haven't been able to be myself or like been distant. And she got teary-eyed and was like, yeah, I have noticed, moms notice things. And I basically start bawling my eyes out at the dinner table in front of my family and my mom's friend who's a sex therapist because I'm telling this story. And it was such an awesome night. It was a very hard conversation to have, and I brought up actually a lot of other stuff. I started talking about like sex and all sorts of stuff because I felt like it had never really been talked about in my family. I had the birds and the bees talk by my dad, but it was one conversation ever that was it felt like very forced, and like love my dad for doing that. I got away from it. I was like, okay, condoms are good. I should use those. But that was pretty much it, and it had never been really talked about, especially in my culture. It's kind of like taboo, and I thought it was so dumb. So I just started bringing up all of these topics that like normally don't get brought up at the dinner table. I don't know. Maybe they do. And it was so perfect because like my mom's best friend was there too, who's just a sex therapist, and she's like, if you ever want to talk about sex, call me up. I called her up the next day and talked about stuff because I remember watching a YouTube video actually that was ranking sex education like by states. I'm from Utah, and they ranked Utah in like F tier or something, and I thought to myself, I should probably be more aware about stuff. So I feel like I've had to like learn on my own, which has been good. And like, dude, it was so it's been so cool because these conversations were so hard to sort of initiate, but it all actually started with Hat Girl. The first conversation out of these many hard conversations that I've had over the past year started by me telling Hat Girl that I really liked her, because we had this very long in-between phase where we were kind of just talking, and I liked her, but I didn't really want to say that I liked her because I was like, oh my gosh, an online relationship, long distance, that's probably just like not a good idea. But over months, I just couldn't stop talking to her. And I got to the point where I was like, oh my gosh, all right, I'm not gonna put myself in the friend zone. I'm either gonna stop talking to her completely, or I'm gonna tell her how I feel. And so late one evening, I call her up. I actually asked her, I said, hey, can I ask you for your opinion on something? And I basically opened the call saying, I really like you. This is how I feel. It only took a minute or two, but I spent the entire day thinking about it and practicing it. And I said it very confidently, very straightforward, because I didn't know how she felt, If I were to guess, I would have guessed that she liked me as well, but I think there's a very large stereotype of guys not getting hints or kind of being oblivious. I feel like I'm oblivious a little bit in some sense, and I was not going to assume anything, so I tried to mentally prepare myself. What if she doesn't like me? What if she says that's weird? But I sort of finished my thoughts, and I sat there in the silence waiting for her to respond. She doesn't say words. What I can describe it best as just a squeal, a very happy squeal. You could hear her smiling through the microphone. And she liked me too, and she's like, oh my gosh, I feel like I've been holding this back for months. And that was a very cool experience, sort of telling somebody that you liked them and them liking you back. So back to the first breakup. We started talking again. I had the thing at the dinner table with my family. The flight was booked, and I went to go see her. Some people ask me what it's like to meet friends in person after mostly knowing them online. This one was kind of different because I'd met her in person for the first time. But I have a lot of experience with that. Most of my friends are online. I'm just a YouTuber. I play Minecraft. That's sort of where the people I know are. I've done it so many times now that it really doesn't feel unusual. Sometimes I forget who I've met in person and who I haven't. I think there's only a handful of people that I haven't. I was curious if this one would be different because it's a girl. I'd never flown out to another state to go see a girl. I know, crazy. Never done that before. I couldn't believe I was doing it. I was journaling on the plane, sitting to myself, typing. I was like, oh my gosh, I hope the guy next to me isn't reading all this. What is this? I actually wasn't as nervous as I thought I would be. But she picked me up from the airport. It was totally normal. And we had a several-hour-long drive back to her hometown. We were just chatting, singing music the whole time. It was phenomenal. The first thing we did when we got back was play board games with her mom for 3 hours. It was an awesome introduction. But then we went back to the Airbnb that I picked out. And this wasn't the only thing that it was on my mind, but I was like, okay, there's no way I'm not kissing this girl. I mean, I would ask, if she didn't want to kiss, I wouldn't kiss her, but I was like, there's no way I'm not kissing her, but I'd never done that before, or in air quotes, made a move. I never cuddled with a girl before, and so we just sat on a couch together. I put my arm around her. She repositioned my arm into a more comfy position, and we cuddled for the first time. I'd sort of imagined what that might feel like before several times, and it was better than I thought. It was really awesome. Okay, I should stop. I don't want this commentary video to be me diving into whatever the relationship was. I'm just giving context here. Let's get to the first kiss, because this was my first kiss. An hour or two later of watching The Price is Right, I turned to her and I just asked her, can I kiss you? Oh my gosh, how did it even go? She said yes, and I kissed her. And the first kiss, I was like, huh, that's it? I thought it would be better than that. But the second, third, and fourth kiss, those were much better. I was a very bad kisser, probably slightly better kisser now. And the third or fourth kiss, I was like, okay, this is why kissing is good. This is why people like to kiss. And I thought I would mention that because I think I have a lot of people who are younger than me in my audience. And I think there can be a social stigma of maybe feeling like you're behind in life if you... I don't know, 23 feels kind of late for a first kiss. Is that just me? And there's definitely been periods where I think to myself, I'm like, oh, dang, I have no experience. Maybe I am behind in life. In all other aspects, I feel pretty far ahead. But it's totally fine to have your first kiss later in life. I guess that's why I'm making this point. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. If you've never kissed a girl, that's totally fine. If you never want to kiss anybody, that's totally fine. You do you. I just want to demystify if anybody who holds me in this crazy high regard of... I've definitely seen comments of rec rap being a person. Or even friends saying nah, he's got all the girls. I don't have all the girls, guys, okay? I do feel very confident in myself. And now... I have my first kiss under my belt, so there's that. All right, on to the actual breakup part now. You might be asking, how long were you guys together? Why exactly did it end? What are the intricacies of all this? Again, I remind you, in the kindest way possible, screw you guys. You know, I'm not gonna talk about that. But it did end, and I have not talked to her since. I ended the call saying something like, I'm gonna end the call before my voice breaks. I ended the call, I sat on my beanbag, and I just cried. So it hurt a lot. That first week was particularly intense. It was sort of the only thing I could think about. I really treated that first week like I literally had a fever. I kind of laid in bed. I didn't really do anything. Okay, to be fair, I did do a lot of stuff. I actually kept up on my health phenomenally well. The very next morning after the breakup, I played pickleball because I had planned to play pickleball with my brothers and my dad. And low-key, I was kind of debating on skipping out of that because I wasn't sure if I could handle it. But I told them, hey, I just broke up with that girl. I don't really want to talk about it. There wasn't a whole ton to say, but I gotta say, playing pickleball, it kind of gave me a superpower. I just did not lose, and it was so dumb. I was like, why am I just not losing? I'm just like playing so well. It's like I got a superpower from being like so sad and destroyed. The night it happened, oh, that was the first night in a long time that I broke my my going to bed alarm, going to bed on time. That entire first week, my sleep was destroyed. There was no way I could fix it. No amount of meditating or thinking could rip me out of the mental spiral that was this like massive cloud of pain. The first night I sat on my roof for a little bit. My cousin came home. He saw me on the roof and he sent me a text. He said, "Are you okay?" I responded back, "No." And I don't want to talk about it because my cousin is great. If I wanted to talk about it, I wasn't going to talk to him about it. I really appreciate that he reached out though, but oh boy, that was a rough night. I called up a friend a couple of hours later and talked to them. So shout out to that friend. I actually talked to a lot of friends on several different occasions. A lot of the time I called people to talk about it. I called them when I didn't want to talk about it, which sounds kind of backwards, but I figured it would be good for me. So if I've called you, I mean, you know who you are. I really appreciate like having anybody to talk to about it. Another huge group of people that I want to shout out is all my friends in HBG. HBG is like a speedrunning friend group Discord server that I'm in. There's one text channel that we have in there that is my favorite by far, and it is called Homie Support. It's a channel where you can kind of just rant about any sort of hard thing that's going on in your life. And the first breakup, I stayed up for several hours. I wrote 5 pages and I just dumped all that in there. It was such a good story. I wrote so well during it was great. And I just want to say thank you to all of the people that responded to that. I felt so comforted and appreciated and loved, and that really helped. So shout out all you guys. One thing I found shocking from the breakup was I literally lost my appetite. I ate less. I lost weight. And looking back, it's honestly like hard to sort of describe or even remember the first couple of weeks. There were many hours of laying on my floor, staring at my ceiling, listening to sad music. There was a lot of sad music. I went on a lot of walks. Like I said, I kept up my health pretty well. I mean, aside from my sleep going down the drain because I couldn't sleep, and me eating less because I lost my appetite. I actually got like pretty lean, I'm not gonna lie. There's a stereotype of people out there going on like a workout revenge arc where you get like a revenge body, like, and let me say, okay, first of all, I feel like I've just been on a revenge arc my whole life. I've like been tearing it up, bro. I feel fit. All growing up, I was super into school. I was salutatorian. I got a full ride scholarship. I found success with YouTube. I have a house paid off. I've tried really hard to be a nice person. Oh my gosh, I need to shut up. But I bring that up because the first time I heard about that revenge thing, I was like, bro, I already, like, What am I supposed to do? That's like a hard thing to talk about too. Talking well about yourself. And shout out my friends. They always said comforting stuff like, you're a great guy, Parker. You'll find somebody good. I appreciate that. But also, it does absolutely nothing for the pain. It doesn't help at all. You know, people say the things like, it'll pass with time, or like, this will make you stronger. You can go through this. You can do this. Which, like, sure, yeah, might be true. You know what it does, though? It does absolutely nothing for the pain. You just gotta freaking sit in it, and you gotta sit in it for so long, and it's up and down. Let me tell you, bro, it is not a linear process. There's waves, there's crashes, you go backwards so far, there's mental crash outs. I felt so existential for a lot of nights. It was just the biggest mental explosion of my entire life. And I've waited a long time to make this commentary. There's like so many weeks in there and days that are so like bad, and like I stopped like making as many videos. It was kind of nice that the Naked and Afraid series was kind of in the mix of all this, because I had videos like ready to go. Oh wait, you guys want to know some crazy lore? First episode of Naked and Afraid, I mentioned that I'm playing on a laptop. Do you know where I was? I was at Hat Girl's house recording that. I guess technically I was in the Airbnb. That's where I was when I started recording the Naked and Afraid series, which is over now. That actually took so long to come out. It was like 3 months of editing or something. It was like a limbo. When did we record? We recorded that a long time ago. Sometime during the first or second week, I went on a run with the goal to sort of just feel pain, because I felt I just wanted to feel something. And so I went out on a run without eating or drinking in the morning. Actually, not in the morning. I think it was in the afternoon, in the middle of summer. And you remember that video of me like almost dying in Japan from going on a long run? This one was worse, and I guess it kind of served its purpose. I definitely did not think about the breakup during that run, because my body was just in so much pain. Thankfully, I made it home. First thing I did was drench myself under the shower in some cold water, and then I got cold and shivery. I ended up laying on my beanbag for like 2 hours. I guess I do a lot of stuff on my beanbag. Shout out beanbags. But the good news is, after doing that, I thought to myself, Parker, that is the stupidest thing you've ever done. Out of anything, you are never doing that again, because that is quite dangerous. I've often subscribe to, sort of like David Goggins mindset, like push yourself hard. I think it's good to do that. I've definitely found my limit that was not safe whatsoever. Maybe it'd be different if I was like properly hydrated or had food in me, but that 14-mile run was pretty bad. I'm glad to say there were no more moments like that, but I definitely had times where I just wanted to feel sad, which was kind of strange. And this was a while later too, but at some point I was on my walk and I was like struggling to say hi to people, because I just wanted to keep listening to sad music. I just wanted to keep feeling bad. I actually sort of turned my mental around, which was really nice. I started listening to some happy music, and I got some better closure. I read the first or the last message that she sent me. I asked for like closure on the thing. This was the first time that I read that back, and that was like good for me. I probably should have read that back earlier, but I've kind of treated anything concerning her like nuclear waste, very hazardous, very dangerous material. I sent her a message a couple of days after things ended. I basically said, do not contact me for anything until at least this date. Like, I'm not a fan of unfriending people, but I just, no contact, zero contact. That is the move. If you ever go through a breakup, this is one of the things you should take away from this video. No contact. Repeat that with me. No contact. It's so important. You're not a bad person for doing it. You just need time to heal. And I guess I don't have personal experience with this, but from the things that I've heard about, like any reaching back to that person, it's just opening those wounds. It's undoing the stitches. You're gonna have to do that healing at some point. It's only delaying it. And I think at some point you can probably like be able to talk to them. I don't plan to like shun her for the rest of my life, but I'm also not gonna like, I could not talk to her every day like I did before. I can always be friendly. And I guess I'm sort of like talking about the future here. Have I talked to her? Will I ever talk to her? Ooh, let's go back to our other point. in the nicest way possible. Screw you. All right, let's move on. At some point, I could notice that things got better. It took a while, but I think a month and a half in was sort of the first time I got some real semblance of normalcy. I was streaming, and I said out loud, why am I so happy right now? Because the whole day had just been good, and I was not used to that happening. I actually didn't cry very much throughout pretty much this whole process, but I think that's more of a testament to me as a person, maybe guys in general. The amount of times I cried from age 10 to 21 is less than 5. So I've definitely got better at crying over the past couple of years, but I didn't. It's kind of funny. I didn't shed too many tears on this, but my mental was just so utterly destroyed. I remember driving down to my mom's house, listening to music, and I had to keep changing the station because it kept just like breaking me down. This is another point that I wanted to bring up, because when I went to that family gathering, I was also considering not going because the breakup sort of just happened, and I really didn't want to talk about it. So what I did was I made a group chat with like my family, and I said, hey, I broke up with that girl. I don't want to talk about it. Please don't mention it. Thanks. And that was like very good communication. And I survived the night, which was awesome. The best way I can describe the healing process and how things got better was it came in waves. And those waves got less frequent and less intense, but they were still waves. You go up and then you go down, and then you go up and then you go down. It really is just experiencing grief. I'm not the most experienced on grief. I'm still pretty young. But you go through the stages, man. That entire first week, I was in denial. I didn't want it to end, and I had to slowly accept that it's ended and that I'm gonna keep moving on. You know, I would walk outside and it would be all sunny, and I think to myself, it's so dumb. Why is it sunny outside right now? Why is the weather good? And one of the best freaking pieces of advice that I got is you just gotta sit with it. The only way to go through a breakup is to go through a breakup, and it hurts. I've said this far too many times. I'm sorry. I should take this back. It just hurts so much, bro. And I've got so much empathy for people going through this. And it's probably not even the worst breakup out there. You know, I think you can get self-conscious because the funny thing is, as soon as you start talking about it, the first question that a lot of people will ask is, oh my gosh, how long were you guys together? And when I hear that, I kind of recoil. I'm like, it's not like I had a 3-year relationship where I was living with somebody. Like, it makes you almost feel invalidated with your feelings. Don't let that happen. One of the best things that I heard throughout this entire process was the only thing that determines how bad you hurt from a breakup is how attached you were. And so to end this video, I want to shout out a couple of YouTube videos that I watched early on in the breakup that I think really helped. Number one, I'll put it on screen. Can't remember the guy who made it. How to survive a breakup. And it was a very male-oriented video, very direct. In the intro, he said, this isn't going to be a sappy video. This is, I'm already, like, if you're going through a breakup, you're already sad. Like, you don't want to hear that. If I was going through a breakup, I just want somebody to tell me, like, what to do. It was very actionable steps that I think, one of the biggest ones was no contact. I'm going to reemphasize that. I think I was already doing it. But do not, no contact. That's crazy. It's okay. Take some time for yourself. The second one is a video from a YouTuber called Caroline. I watched a lot of her videos on like breakup stuff, relationship. There was lots of entertaining things. I can't remember the exact video I'm thinking of, but that was a very good one. Another one, this one was really good. 6 months of heartbreak documented. I think the guy's name is Steven or something. Beautiful video. Awesome to watch. That's the sort of stuff I wanted to watch when I was really going through it. So if you ever find yourself going through a breakup in life, which on average, most of you probably will. If you remember this, maybe come check out some of these resources because they are good videos. There's also another good TED Talk that I'll also put. That was a good watch. There's some smart people talking about heartbreak out there. I remember watching that how to survive a breakup video, and he just like started pulling out some stats because I think those are good. He said, on average, it takes people 11 weeks to get over somebody. And I sat there on day like 5 thinking to myself, oh no, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. That's so long. Please, no. And let me tell you, I mean, I'm not going to go into the dates. I actually don't know the dates off the top of my head. But I passed the 11-week mark, baby. I passed it, and I remember looking at my calendar thinking, oh my gosh, wait. That was 11 weeks. So if you are going through a breakup, I'm sorry, but this probably wasn't the best video to watch if you are going through a breakup. It's probably a little bit more like higher energy. I mean, maybe not, I don't know. But it sucks, man, I'm sorry. And all the other people that aren't going through a heartbreak, well, I hope you enjoyed listening to this. Hopefully you learned something. What am I gonna do next? Have I started dating? When am I gonna start dating? What does my future look like? Again, in the nicest way possible, screw you guys. I don't know if I'll talk about relationship stuff, but I did here, and I think it was really cool and good. It's a very important story to me. So thanks for listening, and I guess I'll see you in another commentary video. Maybe I'll just be like talking about a speedrun on the next one. Who knows? I feel half the videos on this channel are just talking about Minecraft, half are life stories. Okay, bye.